Hi, welcome back. In this class, we'll look into functions. First, we'll discuss the basic syntax of functions. Next, we'll learn about return statement. And finally, we'll look into some passing of parameters. A function is a piece of code with a name. We write once and use it multiple times. This will avoid repetition of the code in the programs. It is a clean way of writing programs. We can write any number of functions. Each function will give a name and we will use that name to execute it. Let us see some code examples. Okay, let us write our first function. The function starts with a keyword def def for saying that we're defining a function, and let us give a name. The def keyword is followed with a name. Let us give a name greet and parenthesis. Within this parenthesis, we'll be passing any parameters. They're called formal parameters, and followed by a colon, just like in conditionals and loops. We have to end with we have to use a colon and then go to next line. That's where the function code will start. In this function, we'll just write one statement. We'll just print hello world. Hello world. And if you execute, nothing will happen because we just defined the function. We didn't execute, we didn't write any code to execute it. How to execute it? Just call with the name, say greet, and that is the way to execute a function. Just call the name and with the parenthesis. If you have any parameters, you have to put the parameters within that parenthesis. And if you execute this one, you get hello world. That is what it does. That function just prints hello world. I said we can write a function once and use it many times. Let us say take this function, copy. The function is there. I'll say greet. I can use it many times if I want. Here I'm calling just 3 times. If I call, I will get it will be executed 3 times, and each time we get it will print out a hello world. That is writing once and using many times. Next, let us see the return statement. A return statement is a optional statement. Even though if there's no return statement, the function will work. Optionally, you can put a return statement and you can return any object from any Python object from the function. For example, let us take this function, copy it. I'll say I'll return now. I'll just say return now, just some string, and let me call the function here. When you are returning the function something, when you are returning an object from the function, you have to capture it. For capturing, you have to say, let's say RC. RC normally we use for a return code as a return code. That's what it is. The function is returning. It says greet, and let us we can print RC. Here we are calling the function and we are capturing the return object from the function, and then we are printing it. If you execute this one, you get a hello world from the function, and this is the return from the function. The function is returning just a string. It can return anything. You will be seeing all that in our future programs. You can return any object, but here we are just returning a string that we are printing it. Next, let us see passing of parameters. In this function, we are not passing any parameters. It's a simple function to print hello world. Let us see how to pass a parameter. Let us copy this and let us say pass n. We want to pass a number so that this function will print hello world that many times. We can put a while loop here. While, like let us create a variable. Let us create a variable I equal to 0, and we can say I less than n, I less than n, colon, and you have to indent this. This is a while block. You have to indent this and print hello world, and you have to increment. You have to increment I equal to I plus 1. That incrementation is very important. If not, that while loop will run forever. So this is our new function, greet. Still it is we can say, maybe you can say greet n number of times. So we have a while loop. It goes up to it loops n times and prints the hello world message n times. Let us that is so this is our body of the function. This is all the code within the function. See that everything is indented. Only this indentation is for the while loop. Indentation is very important in Python. Let us say then let us call the function. We'll say RC. We'll use the same here, the same code from here. All right, let us see what we get. Let us pass. We have to pass a number. Now the function name is greet n, and I'll say 5 times. Let us greet 5 times. And if you print this one, if you execute this one, this is what you get. The function, the greet function, is called only one time, but it went through a loop. It goes through a loop and prints hello world for 5 times, and finally it returns this 3 banks. So we're just printing the RC. So that is how to pass a parameter. Here we are passing a single parameter, but in our next class we'll see how to pass multiple parameters. Okay. Finally, I want to tell us something about the doc string. If we add a comment as a first line in the code, it is called a doc string. For example, in this function, we can put a comment. Let us say I'll put a comment says prints hello world. Prints hello world n times. This triple comment is for commenting the code. So this is when you put a comment line as a first line in the function, it is called a doc string. Still, I mean, if you execute, still that won't be printed. That string won't be printed. You still get the same output. It is always a good practice to add a description or a comment to a function, and if you put that one as a first line, it is called a doc string. This is a very simple function, but when you are working with on a major project, you may be writing like tens or hundreds of functions. These comments or documents will be very useful when you want to revisit the code for modifications and all that. And also this is utmost important when you are working in teams. And also there are tools which use doc strings to automatically produce online or printed documentation. So always make it a habit to add some comments of every function or script you write. I always remember what Bill Gates said in a book called Programmers at Work in late 80s. He said something like this: you have to write your code in such a way that you must love to revisit any modifications in future. I mean, I always remember his saying. With this note, we'll stop here. In our next class, we'll discuss parameters passing, more parameters passing. Okay, thanks.